Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2 seemed to have been a robbery of Alexander Volkov. Most fans think that he should have won the fight, but the fight was scored 29-28 as a split decision for Ciryl Gane, and once you heard Adelaide Bird's name, you knew, okay, this scoring of the fight is not going to be too great, and it wasn't. The fight seemed to have come down to the second round, where the first round went to Ciryl Gane, third round went to Alexander Volkov, and to score the fight, you go by the scoring criteria, which pretty much means the fighter gets closest to finishing the fight, landing impactful shots, standing on the ground, all of that stuff. The most damaging shots are going to be ranked the highest, and we're going to do that categorizing it from light to heavy to get the most accurate details of the fight possible. So let's start with that second round. Beginning of the round, it's Ciryl Gane who lands a body jab. Nothing really on it, light strike. Then Ciryl Gane lands two side kicks to the knee without much power. He's kind of just tapping the knee there. Then Volkov counters with a straight right to the chest. Another light strike, not the most damaging placement for a punch, and also doesn't give much a reaction from Ciryl Gane. But then Volkov follows up with two left hooks, like the exact same punch, landing with the side of the hand without much power, and Ciryl Gane is trying to move out in an angle. So that's two more light strikes for Volkov, tying it up. Now Ciryl Gane throws an inside leg kick, which Volkov checks, but usually a shin-to-shin check would go both ways for both fighters, but Volkov checked with the knee. This is not going to damage Volkov really, and only return the damage to Ciryl Gane, so that's going to count for Volkov. Another side kick to the knee from Ciryl Gane. This body kick from Volkov, can't really see because of the camera angle. It looks like from the angle of the kick, it could have went under the arms, but we'll go back to it if we have to. Then Ciryl Gane lands a jab from distance, which is another light strike, nothing really on that punch, but he does get countered by the biggest strike of the entire round, Alexander Volkov's clean spinning back fist that rocks Ciryl Gane. This is one of the biggest shots Gane has ever taken in his entire career, right? After the Tai Tuivasa knockdown, this is probably the next biggest shot. And instinctively, Ciryl Gane tries to get a takedown, but gets countered from that with a knee to the body from Volkov. This is a medium strike. A partially blocked body kick from Alexander Volkov. Ciryl Gane blocks it with one arm, but the kick was also going to the chest instead of like the ribs or the liver or something like that. So partially blocked and toward the chest. We could say that's a light strike, but I would say in between light and medium, because Ciryl Gane was the one to punch into it, increasing the impact of the blow. Front kick to the body from Ciryl Gane. Another side kick to the knee from Ciryl. This kick from Volkov does not land to the body, hits the arm, so we don't count those, right? Because when you block a kick, you are also blocking it with your arms. And he's hitting like the shoulder area, so technically, I mean, it still causes damage, but I don't know. We'll come back to that as well if we have to. I don't know what to think about kicks to the upper arm. Jab to the forehead from Ciryl, another light strike. Return from a right straight from Volkov that lands to the top of the head, right through the guard. Then he follows it up with another right straight as Ciryl Gane is moving away from the punch. This one gets more of a reaction, so I'll say this is in between a light and medium. But then Volkov lands a head kick with his toe, gets a decent reaction out of Ciryl Gane. We'll say that's a medium strike. Even head kicks landing with the toe could knock an opponent out. We've seen that many times. And the thing is, the kick wasn't really blocked either, right? That's why Ciryl Gane moved to the right from the kick, showing the reaction of the strike. Again, other body kick, can't see it from the camera angle. I think it lands, but Gane is picking up his right leg, so he may have checked the kick. We have no idea. They're really doing Volkov dirty with these camera angles. Jab from Volkov, another light strike, returned by two leg kicks from Gane, two light strikes. Now this is a grazing head kick, barely lands on Ciryl Gane. It bounces off the arm as Gane went to block it, and it just grazes the skin of his head, and Gane doesn't really give much of a reaction either, other than trying to move his head away from the kick. Then Ciryl Gane lands a combination. Jab to the face of Volkov, and then following that up with a big right overhand. So the jab doesn't really do much, another light strike, but the overhand was a little bit bigger. We could say this is a medium strike, but then Volkov returns to the jab of his own. Now there's a body kick from Volkov that gets partially blocked by the arm, and also Gane doesn't give much of a reaction. It lands after, but not a big strike at all. Returned by two leg kicks from Gane, both light attacks. But then Volkov lands a big right hand in sequence of his head kick. We'll say this is a medium attack for Alexander Volkov. Really good shot. Volkov lands a right straight through the guard, and Ciryl Gane is moving back away once the punch lands, but it is a decent shot as well, so we'll say it's between a light and medium. Left straight to the body from Ciryl Gane that didn't have much power, and Volkov doesn't give much a reaction, so a light strike. Volkov throws a leg kick, which Ciryl Gane checks, shin to shin, so it goes both ways. Then Volkov lands two jabs, and then Ciryl Gane returns with a side kick to the thigh. None of these that powerful. Volkov throws a body kick, which gets checked by Ciryl Gane, shin to shin, so it goes both ways. Volkov lands a knee to the leg as he was stepping in to line up one of his punches, which doesn't land, but then Ciryl Gane throws I don't know if it's a body jab. Can't tell from the camera angle. These guys are way too big. And it looks like Volkov is also throwing a punch in the exchange, but you can't see either punch land. They could have been blocked. They could have hit the arm. They could have missed. We have no idea. Leg kick from Ciryl Gane gets checked on Volkov's knee. So that's a light strike from Volkov. This punch may have landed at the very end of the punch as Ciryl Gane was pulling away, but hard to tell from the camera angle if it touched or not. Now this left hand, given the reaction of Volkov and where his arms are placed, this definitely landed to the body for Ciryl Gane, which given the reaction, it does seem like a decent shot from Ciryl Gane. Inside leg kick from Ciryl Gane, another light strike. Now this is the biggest shot from Ciryl Gane. He switches stances into a right straight that connects clean on Volkov's chin. Definitely hurts him, but not as much as the back fist. We'll make it a heavy strike, but we do have to note that Volkov's spinning back fist was more powerful than Ciryl Gane's right straight. But then Volkov returns with a knee to the body that lands to the side, almost like to the lats area, but it does hit to the ribs as well. Decent shot from Volkov. Then when he throws a right uppercut, he lands with his bicep and forearm, like swallowing Ciryl Gane's head. So even though he meant to land with the fist, he still does land with the arm, which counts as a strike, but nothing that powerful. Now this is a part of the round a lot of people forget about. Volkov had a front choke locked in when Ciryl Gane went for a takedown. Then he turns it into a guillotine. I mean, that choke is in. The only thing that's not is the body position, but you could still finish a guillotine from there, or even a front choke. The only reason Ciryl Gane got out of the choke was because he got a takedown. So the choke itself is absolutely part of effective grappling. And now Ciryl Gane is on the opposite side from the danger of the guillotine. Now here's the thing, Ciryl Gane returns to the submission of his own, the Von Flue choke, but it's not as tight as Volkov's choke was, because Ciryl Gane actually is the one that lets go of his own Von Flue choke. But when Volkov had the guillotine, Ciryl Gane had to fight his way out of it. Volkov is not trying to fight his way out of the Von Flue choke. It's not as tight. If it was, he would have to fight out of it. Now, this body shot from Volkov definitely lands. You see where Ciryl Gane is trying to pick up his knee? The kick gets right above that on the side of the body. But then afterward is able to follow up with a punching combination, landing with the left hook as Ciryl Gane is moving out on an angle, but it's a light strike. Then Ciryl Gane is able to land his own body kick, which gets partially blocked, bounces off the arm into the body. We'll say this is in between a light and medium strike. And then the last strikes of the round, Ciryl Gane lands 2 side kicks to the leg, both light strikes. And that tallies up, ending. So at the end of the second round, by tallying up all the damage, it's very clear that Alexander Volkov won the fight. He has way more medium strikes, almost as many light. He landed more shots. He had the bigger heavy strike, and he had the better choke. His guillotine versus Ciryl Gane's Von Flue. It's a no-brainer. Alexander Volkov won the second round 100%. They got to get new people to score these fights, man. I don't know how they scored it for Ciryl Gane. It was so obvious. Even though the round was kind of competitive, it was still obvious who won. Right? We've seen many fights like this, where a round is competitive, but it's clear who's winning. And it's crazy because Ciryl Gane is probably going to get a title shot now. He's going to fight either Tom Aspinall or John Jones, where it should be Alexander Volkov getting his first title shot. And this is going to be Ciryl Gane's, 50th title shot? And this time he didn't deserve it because Volkov should have won on the scorecards. But hopefully Volkov is like one fight away from a title shot again. Maybe he can fight Almeida if Almeida gets a big win. They make that a #1 contender fight. Winner of that fights Tom Aspinall, who I think will be the champion after he beats Ciryl Gane, and if John Jones fights Aspinall, right? Regardless though, I don't think any of these guys are beating Tom. I think Ciryl Gane gets taken down and submitted. I mean, if Volkov can wrestle with him like that, imagine what Aspinall can do. And I don't think Volkov is stopping Aspinall's takedowns either. So another fight card, another robbery. It seems like every single fight card there's at least one